Hey friends, it's me, Miss V The Storyteller. I know you're kind of like surprised, like what's going on. Normally, she always has a guest on the show, on Thursdays, but because it's the holiday, Thanksgiving is coming up and Christmas is coming on up, I wanted to share a story with you. And this was something that happened to me a few weeks ago, and it kind of changed my life. Um, and I'm so grateful that I saw what I saw because it had me to rethink the way that I think about certain things. So I'm going to go ahead and share the story with you. I was on my way to the grocery store, and I go to this grocery store all the time. I always take the same route. Um, and at the end of the road, right before I turn into the grocery store, there is a stoplight. And to the right of the stoplight, there's a Walgreens. And in front of the Walgreens, there's always a homeless man who sits there. This homeless man is there all the time. He has his sign up and he'll sit there. And he usually sits on those big, those big gallon paint cans. They're white and they have the tops on them. He usually sits on one of those, or he may sit in the chair, but that paint can is always with him. I guess his container where he puts everything in and he carries it. So he sits there and I notice him all the time, but there was a brief period of time where I didn't notice him and I was a little bit worried because you can go down the same road over and over again and you see the same thing, and when something changes you notice it. Well, I noticed that he wasn't there and I'm like, Lord, I pray that he's okay. Well, he started to reappear again, so that let me know that he was okay. So this particular day, I am at the light. Now, prior to getting up to the light, I was behind this truck. And this truck was going really slow. And I'm not a person that likes to drive slow, but there was a reason for it. And I realized the reason afterwards. The truck pulls up very slowly, and we get to the light, and the light is red. I look over and my homeless man he's sitting there. He has his sign up and he never looked sad to me. There were days where he looked tired, but he never looked sad. He always had like a calm demeanor. And this day was no different. He was sitting there holding up his sign. Above him were birds flying around. Had it been me, I would have been out of there because me and birds, we just don't get along. I will run away or fight a bird, A or B. So the birds were flying around and he's holding up his sign. And this one particular bird flew down and sat down in front of him. Now, he didn't shoo the bird away. He just sat there and looked at the bird. I don't know if they had a conversation. I don't know what was going on between the two of them, but the bird was looking at him as if he knew him. And the man was looking at the bird like, hey, friend. Now, the other birds were still flying around and landing on, the telephone poles and on the wires and all that, but this bird sat in front of him. A few seconds later, the homeless man gets up. He takes the top off the paint can and he's rummaging it around. And he pulls out what looked like a piece of cake or a cookie or something in a package. He puts the top back on the can and then he sits down. He opens it up and he breaks off a piece and he bites into it, I guess to taste it. I'm not quite sure why. Then he breaks off another piece and he throws it down for the bird. The entire time he had taken the top off the can and rummaged around, that bird sat there because the bird knew what was coming. I didn't, but the bird knew. So he broke off the piece and he gave it to the bird. But then he broke off another piece and he threw it in a different direction. And that was for the other birds. He was protecting the one bird. He was like, this is just for you, but let me feed your friends because I don't want them to come and take what belongs to you. So he threw a piece of the bread or whatever it was, the opposite direction, and the birds flew over there and start grabbing onto it. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what is going on in front of my eyes? This homeless man who has a sign up that's asking for food, asking for help, shares what little bit of food he has with a bird. And then I realized that the bird flew down to ask for some food because he was hungry. And he knew apparently this man would feed him whatever he had. I'm sure the bird didn't know anything about homelessness, but he knew this man, this person, would share whatever he had with him if he would just fly down and ask. And that's what he did. He landed, he asked, he got what he needed. The man, he was sitting there and he was asking for what he needed. He had a sign up and he came there every day and he asked. And people would stop and give him money. Sometimes they would give him water or something to eat, but he was just asking. I am sure there were people that just kept driving past and they thought to themselves, I'm not giving him anything. He probably using it for alcohol, drugs, or whatever. Well, I think differently. That's not my business. If I see someone in need and I'm going to give it to them. That's between you and God, what you do with the money. But in my heart, I'm thinking that you're in need and that's why I'm giving to you. The lesson that I learned from them from this that day is that if we just ask, the holidays are coming up and there are people out there who are going to be lonely, who need food, who need, period, and they may not ask because of pride or whatever the case may be. And I thought about the bird that flew down. He asked. The man who was sitting there with a sign, he asked. Oftentimes we ask, some people ask for what we need, but do we ask people that we see that are in need? Do we ask them on the other side? So, what I want to implore you to do this holiday season, if you see someone in need, their pride may be keeping them back, and that's okay. That's something that they need to get over. But how about we ask them, do you need anything? Do you have a place to go for the holidays? Do you need water? Do you need something? Instead of waiting for someone to ask us, what if we ask? If I had the money that day, I would have made a U-turn and I would have given that man money, but I didn't. But I will tell you this, Thanksgiving, I am going to put food in my car and I'm going to drive past. And if I see him, I'm going to share with him because that day he showed me his heart, that no matter his circumstances, he's a giver. So I hope you enjoyed that story. And I share this story because I want you to go out and I want you to enjoy the holidays. But if you see someone in need, ask them if they need anything. Ask them to join you for dinner. But if you need something, I want you to be like the bird and just ask. All right, friends, enjoy your holiday and I will see you later. Bye.